Good morning, gardening friends. It's now Sunday, September 22nd at about 1:15 and how many different things can you spot that have changed in this picture? Something happened outside, let me show you real quick, and that's kind of what inspired a lot of changes around here on the patio. A couple of days ago, the gardeners, when they were here doing their regular thing, decided that these pricker bushes were just getting a little too high. So they cut them off at probably, I'd say, about 5 feet. They were probably at about 8 or 9 feet, and they were providing a lot of shade for my patio. So now I have more sun, but it's also much more open. So let's go back inside and see what I've changed. Okay, so going left to right, you can see on the left that there is no longer screen on the medium planter. I realized with the sun sort of coming in, that screen was actually blocking the sun from getting to the new tomato plant. Also in that planter I have kind of poked some holes because it was developing a crust, so I pretty much tried to loosen it up around the plant. To the right of that, if you look, you'll see there's even more missing from the current tomato plants, the yellow pear tomato and the early girl. And I'm basically just trimming off anything that I can get to that's dead, and now with the screen missing on the left, with the plant kind of growing towards the left, it was a lot easier to get to that stuff instead of going outside and trying to reach up or possibly having to get a ladder. So clean a lot of that out. Also in the upper right corner, I think you can see I've got a birdhouse. What I've actually done is taken the old birdhouse style feeder, given it a second roof. Maybe I'll get you a close-up and show you, or just a still. And sort of, because there were too many holes in the roof when I tried to add a chimney, and it just got to be a mess. And part of the reason for doing those holes to begin with was because I wanted a way to fill the feeder. Well, I looked at the design and I realized, okay, it's somewhat reasonable for some of the smaller birds. So I just took a couple of scraps of wood that I still had and went ahead and put them on the top. It still has ventilation, and I drilled a couple of drain holes in the bottom and I put it up where it is. So we'll see if we attract any birds. I also plan to rehang my hummingbird feeders and go get some nectar. So that should help with attracting some more birds back around here. I know I'm missing something. I'll come right back. A while back I had, this is the thing I forgot, I had bought a new drill bit which was the right size hole for bluebirds, and I had that birdhouse hanging up there with a square hole. Turns out, I think they, as I understand it, they really do kind of prefer a round hole. So I had to mount a new piece of wood on front of the one that I had done because the hole was too small, and trying to do a hole saw into an existing hole gets really kind of complicated and crazy unless you happen to have a template or something like that, which now that I think of it, that's what I could have done. But anyway, I put another piece of wood on there so the hole is even deeper, or the entrance is that much thicker, which again is a feature of bluebird houses. Now, this is not the best looking house I could have built, but it's better than what was up there, so we'll see if it attracts anything until I actually have time to build a better looking house. So back on the patio, that's the birdhouse I was talking about. I zoomed in a little bit more. And there's still more to do on the patio, more cleanup, more organizing. Basically, once it's opened up, I can't really kind of hide things by shoving them in the corner anymore, so I'm forced to actually clean up my patio, which is a good thing. It'll actually make a better presentation to all my neighbors, and we'll see what else I get done. So I'll just document things as they come. I've got a few different plans, and I'll just show them to you as I get to them. Okay, here's one more project halfway done, and we're back to box building. And back to the calculator, built myself another box. This one, I actually figured out the dimensions first and had to play around with the calculator until I got it to match the dimensions. Once I got that, I was able to figure out that this is, what does it work out to? It's going to hold a half a cubic foot of soil, and it's going to sit over to the right of the big planter. So let me show you that. And so now I've wedged that box into the corner, and that should provide me a little bit more screening right there. If nothing else, just coming up to the level of the thing here should be a benefit. Just kind of makes it look more continuous from the outside like this. I think that looks a little bit better. So that's that. I got to fill it up with soil and figure out what to plant in it. And I think I got to leave enough room. Yeah, I think I'm okay actually for my hangers for the bird feeders. Good morning, gardening friends. It's now September 29th at around 11 a.m. and it's time for another update, and I'm going to try and go a little bit more rapid fire this time. So let's start with the tomatoes. Both of the original, what was it, an Ace, I can't even remember the original red tomato, and the yellow pear are both growing. They're a little spindly. It's really kind of hard to get a view at this particular time of day because of the way the sun is. Those are doing okay, and then if I actually swing over, so I can swing over here and show you, that's what the newer patio tomato is looking like. Actually, it looks like maybe this one right here is starting to turn red. I was kind of wondering because it didn't seem like it was getting any bigger, but when I bought it at the store, it had pretty much all those tomatoes on it. I'm hoping you can actually see it again. Sorry about the lighting. It's just the time of day I picked. Anyway, it's growing. It looks like they may be starting to turn, and then after it finishes bearing the initial fruit, it may start to grow and get a little bit bigger, or set additional fruit. We'll see. Anyway, that's the tomatoes. You may have also noticed earlier when I was up here, I've got the hummingbird feeder back up. I think I may have mentioned that in the last episode that I was thinking of doing it, so it's finally up. And we'll see if we get any actual visitors. I haven't seen any since I put it up yesterday. And then there's the birdhouse, which you can kind of see in the upper center of your picture, maybe just off to the right a bit, but no sign of any birds moving in yet. But that's that, and I've actually cleaned up the patio quite a bit. Let's kind of go through some of the other plants. So I've planted a bunch of petunias, thinking that since they're kind of tubular plants, maybe I'll attract more of the hummingbirds. That's a red on the right and a sort of purple on the left. It actually kind of looks blue in my viewfinder. And then just to the left of that, there's another one. The reds came in a 6-pack, and as I pulled them out, some of them, the roots got kind of damaged. So they didn't look so great, but we'll take another look from outside and you'll see that they're not completely dead yet. So I'm just going to let them keep growing. To the left of that, I've got two what look like empty planters. Now, I planted some seeds, and I've actually forgotten exactly what goes where, but I've got some lettuce, I've got some spinach, and two others which I can't remember off the top of my head. So I goofed. I really should have marked them or documented them right when I planted them, and that was about a week ago. So we'll see if anything starts to sprout on those. We've got mums down there, and let me actually get you a little closer. So here's the mums, and again, sorry about the lighting. Some more what look like empty planters. And then beyond that, we've got the basil, which is growing. We've got the broccoli, which is looking dead but growing. We've got the Swiss chard, which is doing okay. Then we go over to the flower section, and we've got two more of those red petunias. I need to deadhead, and I need to give them some water today. Next to that, to the left, we've got the morning glories. We've got a red and a blue. I haven't seen much for flowers in the last couple of weeks, but the weather's been a little kind of, it's either way too hot or then it suddenly snaps to cold. We're really in that Southern California transition between summer and fall. It's officially fall now, but you know, Mother Nature's got to learn to catch up. And in between the two, I planted another mum, and we'll take a look at that from outside. So that's pretty much the patio. It's been cleaned up, which makes it nice. I can sit in my little chair here and enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning. So let's head outside. One thing before we head outside, I've got this bucket full of soil. That's what I consider the soil that I can't necessarily use for planting vegetables, but it's still good enough for flowers, just because I'm not completely sure of the source of the soil, and that bucket basically came from some soil I already had in that bucket. Plus, as I was cleaning and organizing the patio, I found that I had some failed attempts on 6 packs of growing some seeds, so I dumped all the soil into that bucket. So now I'm going to get back to doing some of that, and we'll show you that later. Okay, now the other reason for planting the petunias was I actually wanted it to be a little bit more visually appealing from the outside. I'm not the only one looking at my patio and the plantings, so the mums should actually look a little bit more, well, actually they look like they're kind of dying off, and I have been watering them, so we'll see. I've never planted mums before. We'll see, but that's this side of the patio. And I hope it's coming through. On this side of the patio you can see more of the petunias in there, and maybe I'll just get you a still shot, which will be a little bit better quality. And so out here in the courtyard we've got big planter number 1, which was originally designed and thought of for planting some artichokes. The plants are still mostly there. Actually, the one in that planter is not so good, but that didn't quite work out. I planted some sunflower seeds, and now I'm getting some sunflowers. Let me actually get you a couple of still shots so you can get a better view of these. And then let me just sort of pan over, and you can see number 2 doesn't have quite as much in it. I don't know. The sunflowers are kind of working, kind of not working. I put some apartment mix in there so you can see some other smaller plants starting to grow up. And in the back you can kind of see one of the artichoke plants. It's still alive. Maybe, just maybe, I'll leave it in there. Next year it'll take off like a shot. Who knows? It's all part of budget gardening. I don't throw things away unless they're completely dead, like that one in the front left corner of that planter. So out here at the pergola we've got a series of reddish pink flowers, and that's kind of nice. The blue flowers, not so many. I see 1. I'll get you a couple of still shots. So it is all growing, and as you may be able to see, the tendrils, or whatever you want to call it, these plants, they just keep getting longer, and then now they're kind of falling down, or drooping down, dripping down, whatever you want to call it. I think I want to get them to go all the way across before I have them coming down, so I don't know how well you can kind of see, but on that front one running across, it's not actually wrapped around it, so I'm going to try and get it wrapped around it. Once I've got that, I've got it pretty much all the way across, and we'll let it start kind of dripping down, and I think that'll be a nice effect. So there's not a whole lot more going on over here in the north courtyard, except for me working on another apartment. This is that big tall lattice kind of structure that I built with all the bamboo, and we've got some flowers from the cardinal climber. Oh, I almost forgot. Yesterday I got out and redid that particular hanging planter. The old red planter had turned white in the sun. It gets baked pretty hard in this location. So I replaced it with another one of the tomato topsy-turvy thingies from the 99-cent store. So that's it.